This week on the Big Boss Book Club, I'm joined again by Chris Smith, aka SMITHEL Gaming on X. We're talking Flesh and Blood, we're talking Commoner, we're talking Lorcana, and we're talking ice cream. All that and more this week on the Big Boss Book Club. A long time ago, in a Discord far, far away, a Flesh and Blood Commoner League comes to a close. Little do they know that SMITHEL Gaming has begun construction of a new league to start up shortly. And will this ultimate league spell doom for other commoner leagues? And will it bring order to the galaxy? This week on the show, I'm joined by a returning guest for their third visit to the show. They will obviously make future appearances, but they will probably be in some kind of abstract prequel where I'll need to cast two much younger people to play him, so we can see his development leading into his first actual appearance on the show. Chris Smith, aka Smith the Gaming on X. Welcome back to the Big Boss Book Club. How's it going, dude?
Hey, Tom, happy to be back. I said, if you keep inviting me back, I'm going to start to think you actually like me. This is, problematic here.
I love you, man. Love you, brother. I'll happily say it. Happily go out on a limb and say it. Cool. So, yeah, I wish I thought about the idea of a Star Wars-esque series from the first time, because we could have called like the very first episode that you came on, like a new SMITHEL or something like that, and we could have totally played on it.
Just let me know before we hit the Jar Jar Binks line.
Oh,
that's all that matters.
That'll be the next one. A phantom SMITHEL. That'll be the next one, because when SMITHEL strikes back, this one's going to be Return of the SMITHEL. I'm rolling with it. I'm committed. I'm committing it.
I'm all for it. All for it.
I'm not going to lie to you. I was actually a little bit tempted to unpublish the first episode and then republish it under a different name. But I was like, no, that seems a bit excessive, and no one will know except me. So it seems silly.
No.
So how things been since we last spoke? What's been going on with you in terms of, I guess, Flesh and Blood, really?
Good. I mean, so it's definitely been kind of busy. I mean, this summer, sadly, I didn't get to go to as many armories as I'd like, between work, family things, trips, vacations, all that kind of stuff. I didn't have as much time to go to armories, but I mean, I did try to hit the big events. We just had one, 2 weekends ago now. We had a big Team Sealed event put on by John with Green Tree Sports Cards. He flew Flake in. Him and Jeff O did streaming of that. Matt, aka Sin, he basically put it all together. He did a great job with that, and it was a real good time. We were all trying to compete for an RTI invite. My team was headed. Our captain was Tim, and my God, this guy's brain is just. It is something else to watch. It's like, really? I felt so bad during the whole time. I only won personally one round of the Team Sealed, like myself against an opponent. But my teammates were Tim and Casper, and those two just, they managed to keep me afloat. But we had some pretty good games. They put me on the Ranger. I probably played Azalea. I probably should have played some Riptide. It was a little bit of a rough deck, but I mean, those two were just absolute monsters with it. So that was a fun time. Nice. Other than that, I mean, just did some Bright Lights pre-releases here locally. Excited about the set for different reasons than some, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
See, I'm quite happy to say I'm skipping the set. I recently sold all my mechanologist stuff, and I knew it was the right decision to do, because I knew that this set would be very expensive. And I've already, Dusk Till Dawn was very expensive for me. So to go into another set that was going to require such an outlay.
I'm in a similar boat where this is the first set in a while I haven't felt the need to buy a case or something like that of it to get everything that I wanted, because it's all mech, and I don't main mech. I have fun playing them. I play Dash and Blitz occasionally,
Okay.
But it's never been a point where I felt like, oh, okay, this is going to be my main focus, my CC, things like that.
Mm.
So there's certainly cards from the set that I want, but not enough to justify buying tons. Like, I'm buying a box personally. I'm buying a box for the commoner league is pricing like normal, all
Cool.
that kind of stuff. But it's it's weird, and I kind of love that fact that I can just say this set isn't for me. Like the limited was a lot of fun. I had a ton of fun doing that.
Mm.
But once I get the new Bolton helmet, that'll probably be, the big checklist that item that I want, and I want the
Yeah.
Riptide specializations. So,
Yeah, I want the Viserai one in foil just for my
mhm,
collection.
sure.
I want, yeah, the Bolton headpiece. Um, even though my Bolton's Royal Bolton, so I'm a little bit. Do I want to put another headpiece in? It's got the Crown of Dominion. Then the assassin stuff, and that seems to be kind of it.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty glad that I'll probably wait
Mhm.
like maybe December, January time and pick up the stuff I want for pittance.
100%. I mean, it's funny. Some guy at our LGS, what was it, Sunday night when we were doing the pre-release, the one at Green Tree. He picked up the Bolton helm, the warband,
Oh yeah,
and he goes, "Look, I don't want it. I'll sell it to you." I said, to be quite honest, I said, when it gets to that $25 mark, like, all of the Dust to Dawn Warrior kind of legendaries are, I said, call me up. I was like, I'll gladly pay it. But, TCG right now has it going for pre sale at 100. I said, it's not going to stick there, and I don't need it
no,
soon enough or that desperately enough to pick it up now. Like, I'm trying to get better at
yeah,
Bolton. He's the one warrior that I still struggle with, more than probably I should. Like something about it just isn't
oh,
clicking in my brain. So I'm
I
trying to
love
put
Bolton.
reps in, trying to practice Bolton to get better because I love Bolton and I love the mechanics of him, what he does, the whole idea of him. But I just Bolton does not love me. So
The old, yeah, I know that feel. That's me with Viscerai. That is, I love Viscerai. Viscerai hates me. I, 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 I. Bolton is the. I was saying this to my mate Martin actually a while ago. Like the two CC decks that because we don't really play CC because our armor is the armor I can get to is once a month. It's Blitz.
mhm.
Um, so CC doesn't really get played. So in terms of like CC games, the deck that I have that has seen the most play outside of Bravo is Bolton, and I absolutely love him. My mate mine hates him because I've always seemed to do the Sabers combo. He's not quite dead. Next turn, I play like Celestial Cataclysm, and then I Beacon of Victory it and just banish my entire soul. And he's just like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, it's going to I mean, I'm personally trying to work on the Raiden build for, Bolton. The
Mm,
Sabres is probably the better one, and again, I
yeah.
say this fully understanding that I'm not a Bolton expert by any means right now. But, what I'm trying to do is say, "Okay, look, if I can learn Raiden and just get consistently good value and then occasionally get the combo turn off, maybe kinda spread the Luminas a little bit apart,
Yeah.
uh, so be it." But, yeah, my main goal is basically to try to just do, like, attack swing, attack swing, attack swing,
Mm.
and then play a little bit more defensively until I get a good setup there. But it is definitely a war of attrition right now, and my patience with being able to pick this up. I'm sure I'm going to get it, and it'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, Bolton, it's a cool design hero, it's just not quite there. But I think whenever Icelander goes away and we're officially done with all the Ace heroes, I think Bolton may have a real shot in the meta.
Yeah.
It just right now there's just so much disruption that kind of hurts him.
Yeah, and he's very card intensive. He needs a
Mhm.
hand, and
Yes.
Ice won't let him have it.
Yeah.
I'm with Raiden at the moment. I must admit, I have since the new stuff come out from Dusk Till
Yep.
Dawn. I have uh, uh, Courage is now in my Drinthia Blitz deck. It's firmly sitting there. I've got all the new fancy schmancy stuff
Nice.
Bolton, but not really had a chance to really take it for much of a spin yet. I'm excited to do so. But
Good.
again, don't really get to play much CC, which is a bit it's a bit rubbish. So
Yeah. Yeah.
mainly Blitz and Commoner, of course. Um, which neatly brings us into so the Commoner League's over. Um, how was the season? How's it sort of been?
So yeah, this season was very interesting. I mean, we started to see some heroes emerge that I did not anticipate. I mean, we saw a ton of Riptide being played. Um, so whenever you talk about that and compare it to kind of prior seasons, especially the ones where he was introduced, I did not anticipate seeing as many Riptides as we did.
Okay.
So I'm kind of glad that we got that taken care of. But other than that, I mean, Commoner still has a pretty strong foothold in who are the top heroes. Now, granted,
Yeah.
this season we didn't get the new commoner rules in place in time for the season to be end, where now you essentially get sideboard, um, which is nice. So I'm very curious to see with the next season coming out, how much of an impact will that have? Will folks basically start seeing, okay, Iras are running rampant or something else is going on, so we have to prep for it or put something in our sideboard to account for it. Will any of the new heroes kind of rise to the top? It'll be an interesting, I think, season to really, flush out what the commoner meta can look like here.
Yeah. What was the? Well, I'm going to ask the question. I did we see a good spike in Dory? That's what in this last season.
We saw a good spike in Dory, and I think I know who in part that was due to. So yeah, we saw more Dory this season than last.
Yeah.
There were a few people that definitely wanted to play her, which made me happy. I know you and I talked about the one deck that I built for Commoner,
Yeah.
which seemed to do pretty well,
Yeah.
based on my understanding. But
Yeah. I basically I played her until she lost, and I think I was maybe in like maybe week three, maybe
okay,
before she lost a game, something like that. Like I was like, I'm just going to play this deck until it loses, and it I made a couple of changes to the list you sent me.
sure.
Um, but overall, the titanium baubles, that's where it's at. I always says to people like, it's blue, it blocks for three. It's common. Let's let's do it.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I like the Decimator X Dory. I prefer Bolton really in CC with that, but it definitely has legs in Commoner, especially because you still got access to a lot of those big D reacts, all that kind of good stuff that slow it down. So basically, any blue 3 block you can find in the common, just slap that in the deck, and you're pretty much sitting okay for a while.
Yeah, that first week I was against Capallo, and he literally was just like, "You're playing Oldhim," and I was just like, "No, I'm playing Dory." He's like, "Mate, you're playing Oldhim." It's just in a disguise.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Actually, he was very right. It was definitely as soon as I put like unmovable, the first unmovable, he was like, "What's this?" I was like,
Yeah,
"Well, it's fine, it's fine." And then of course he put the message in the chat
yeah,
about why would you get, because I said, "Oh, Chris, I got the desk list off, I got the list off Chris," and he was like, they obviously messaged you saying, "Why the hell would you give Tom a
yeah.
control deck?"
That's the part that like made me laugh because he came in first before I think you guys reported before you got to me,
Mm.
and I was cracking up because why the hell did you give that to Tom?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sorry, buddy. I was like, I didn't mean to cause you problems. I just thought it was a fun deck.
It was really fun. I say I literally played it until it lost, and then I started swapping out again for just different decks. I definitely went in with a more um, casual. I don't think I played Oldhim. I don't think I played Oldhim once. I don't think.
Yeah,
Um,
we didn't see as many old men, I don't believe, at least this time.
mm,
And that's what I keep trying to kind of pick up and try to remember exactly what it was. But yeah, I was definitely shocked by that. I mean, but then again, I also think some people were kind of out of the Oldham kind of train, with him kind of going away. Yeah, I'm looking at
Mm.
it now. I actually don't see any Oldham. Oh, very limited.
Mm.
1.8% of the matches were Oldham. So yeah,
So
I
that's maybe
mean, it
like
was
one game in the whole thing is probably like
yeah.
Oldham somewhere.
So, which it's to me because that's like okay, that's good because it lets me know that folks are trying to have fun and play and things like that, and not just like okay, I'm going to win by fatigue. Which if you had looked 3, 4 seasons ago, Oldham was just all over the place.
Yeah.
People were like, I'm just going to fatigue out with Oldham or Icelander or do something like that. So seeing people kind of switch it up and try, a little bit different heroes was kind of neat. I mean, we had more Arachne presented than we had Oldham this season,
It,
which is kind of saying
wow.
something.
Okay. Normal Arachne as well, not even like
Yep.
soldier
Yep.
confinement. Wow. Okay. I like that. We were the okay. So you've got the stats then. So we'll dive into it. Who are the big poobas? Who are the top sort of heroes on show this season?
Yeah, so I mean, the big ones are certainly the ones that you would anticipate. I mean, Chain coming in at about 12%. Chain's always been a real strong player in the commoner scene,
Mm,
especially because he has access to Seeds of Agony, all
yeah.
the big tools that are kind of gone elsewhere. Uh, so that was kind of nice to see. Riptide, as we said again, also sitting around 12%.
Oh,
Ira had
okay.
a strong win rate, but wasn't seen as much, only seeing about 4%. In fact, Dory was seen more at about 10%.
Wow.
Uh, so it's one of those things that it seemed like just because it wasn't played a lot doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't performing well. It just seemed,
Okay.
especially this time, it was much more evenly distributed than others. I mean, let me see if there's any other big shockers here. Cavdine under like
Captain.
under Oldham, but at least still making an appearance. Bolton shot up a little bit, around 5.5%. Uh, so I mean, there's people willing to kind of go out of their way and try new things. Now, what was interesting to me was Dash was barely played at all,
Wow.
uh,
Okay. That's
which
surprising actually.
yeah, which now I'm wondering how much of an uptick do we see in either of the dashes with the new set. Obviously there's what Dash, what's the young Dash IO or I can't remember the new name of the one. There's like
Something like
one's
that.
Dash
Yeah.
IO, one's like Dash something something. But the young Dash,
The
whenever
young.
we start playing this season, I'd be curious to see if there's one dash that kind of takes precedence over the other. If we start seeing a ton of items or anything like that in Commoner, or if it's just still very much boost, 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 boost.
Yeah. I feel like if you're looking, I'm not going to lie to you. I've not paid because I've
Mm-hmm.
done it on purpose to make sure I'm not getting like the FOMO
Yep,
and feeling like
I
oh,
get it.
I should have been in on this. I shouldn't have sold my
Mhm.
stuff. I need to rebuy it all back. I've pretty much made it my personal business to not really get involved. The only thing I've even slightly considered is I wouldn't mind maybe getting a copy of Ultron,
Yeah,
just 'cause it's a shadow hero, and I think that'd be really funny.
yeah,
Um, but maybe for the folder or something like that, but not in any way looking at getting into it. So I've done a good job of trying to stay away from it. But
sure.
it would be interesting to see actually which if any of the mech heroes come up. Some of the cards I've seen, I've kind of thought like, they feel like maybe you need to build into them, and I don't think common is the format for building into anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's now there's a lot of good cards that come with the new set that I think have possibilities. The thing that I think scares me about the set is especially if you're trying to dive into the set, heavily for commoner, is items, and I have to check because I can't remember how many items are a common rarity off the top of my head.
Maybe data
But the thing with
dolls.
me that like I've kind of realized in the pre-release was as much as I liked the items that I saw, they very much felt like how do I want to put this? Like a risk to put into my deck. So it it was one of those things that like if you get like one in your hand, okay, not so bad. But whenever you're sitting there with like two or three, and especially when we're talking in sealed or things like that, and you just can't block it, it kind of hurts.
Yeah.
But there are definitely some ones that I'm thinking we're going to see make an appearance. Obviously, boom grenade, that's a huge one. I like that. So basically seeing people load in two red boom grenades if they can play dash and somehow manage to kind of hang on. I think that's a good opportunity to kind of just really really hit your opponent there, knowing that they're not going to have as much to potentially deal with it. Like I also like Junkyard Dog. It's a 6 attack, 3 cost. If you scrap, it comes in for 7, which is kind of nice. I mean, it may give you the opportunity, if you can afford it, uh, to kind of maybe get some tempo back in these commoner games. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's really interesting and really really neat to see where we could potentially go from here for this. I think my favorite card in the whole deck. I mean, the first time, like you, I didn't look too much into spoiler season and that just because I was like, okay, this isn't my main thing. So when I get to pre-release and I see the card Met X, which is like a play on FedEx and things like that, I started to like lose it. I was like, this is like the stupidest card I've seen. I was like, here we're on the World of Wrath where we got like Reinar swinging a club, and I was like, Metric should just like win anything in lore. Like it just like drive over them with his giant like hover
Yeah.
button delivery truck.
Yeah.
Uh, so like I was cracking up at that, but I mean, yeah, I'm thinking there may be a place for what is it, Max Nitro, I believe his
Yeah.
hero's name. I played him twice at the pre-release, and he felt pretty good. The his ability I think gives the opportunity in commoner to really like slow it down, play a little bit more defensively. Because I mean, really, if you have a 0 cost, you boost it, and then you have a blue in hand or something like that. You could basically do the thing. So it's like play the 0 cost boost, activate him, crank the hyperdrift or what's it called? The hyperdriver that's coming in.
Hyperdriver.
Uh, get the action point, swing Banksy. If they let it hit, you put your steam counter back on your hyperdriver. And knowing that you have the ability to kind of sideboard now in commoner, you could really, really, tailor what you need so you don't feel so bad boosting things away.
Yeah.
Or feeling like, hey, look, this is going to be an unwinnable thing because I'm going to get fatigued out and none of my attacks in this deck can, get over something. Uh, so like I'll be curious about that. So if I had to put money, I personally would think Max Nitro is going to be the
Yeah.
commoner mech to play if you're going to play anybody. Again, could be wildly wrong, but I think he has some legs, especially being able to kind of get that resource there from the hyperdriver. So it'll be neat. It'll be a neat kind of thing to see.
So what I'm hearing you saying here is dust off the Oldham deck. It's winter time. Is what I'm hearing you saying.
If people are excited to play with the mech, I mean, it's tough to say because I mean, going wide is kind of like always kind of like the way you kind of get around Oldham. Whether it was with Alexi and CC or Dash or something like that, it's like, do we have enough to get wide around Oldham? I think it may be a tough battle whenever you don't have a lot of access to some of the rares and higher up.
Yeah.
But I definitely would give him a try. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
I think he may have legs if people are just boosting away and you get a chance to kind of save yourself.
I'll say I've not lost. Played as Oldham. I've never lost a dash.
Yeah,
I've always just kept defending and just kept defending, even if it means just on my turn I just go pass back to
yeah,
you. It and you'll soon find that they run out of cards a lot quicker than you do.
yeah. And I think that's the thing that a lot of dash players or mech players fall trap to,
Yeah,
especially if you're not well experienced. Is like it may be okay just to throw in a 5, like just throw 5, at the opponent and say, look, I want to strip 2 cards from you. You're going to leak damage, especially if you see that they're playing a hyper aggressive deck. That's primarily D-reacts and things like that in commoner. Nothing
Yeah.
wrong with just trying to whittle that deck down and make them make things. But I think people get so focused on, oh, I can boost that I want to boost, that people do that.
Mm,
I was watching a video and I forget who's. It may have been Josh Lau. He did a video recently on Bolton, and one thing that he said that kind of stuck with me was like, just because you can play your 4 or 5 card hand doesn't mean you should play your 4 or 5 card hand.
no.
And I feel like that's a trap, and myself included, that some mech players fall into, that aren't as experienced or don't main it in common or blitz or something like that. Is like, just because it looks like you can output a ton of damage, and maybe you can, is it may not make sense in the long run to just continuously
Yeah.
do that. Like, if you're going up a hero where you could just maybe leak a little bit, don't boost every attack. Don't do this. Like, maintain your deck state until you kind of get that advantage. And I know it's easier said than done always, but uh, that would be the one thing I think we'd have to be careful of here going into this.
Yeah. I am guilty as hell as of being like, well, if I hold off this turn, I could maybe do something better. No, play my whole hand, and usually it does end up biting me in the backside.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Like that, and that's the one thing I'm terrible at, and like I just need to get better. Is like the idea of value. Like
yeah,
I look at a hand and go, oh, okay, I can see how much potential damage this outputs, but like I don't look at it like, okay, here's the defensive value that I need to consider whenever I'm blocking too. It's just like, oh, this takes 4 damage off, or this takes 2 damage off. I don't want to do that, but like taking 2 damage off, but preventing 3 damage is better. Like,
yeah,
in some instances, and I don't always think that way. So I need to get better at that personally. But uh, so I fall victim to that. Like, hey, just keep playing because I can keep playing. Methodology.
yeah. I mean, sometimes it does pay off. I had a so I met with my friend Martin not too long ago, and he's built Icelander in Commoner because
Okay.
he saw the deck online. It was a hero he'd never played before. It was cheap as chips to get the deck. He was like, "Oh, give this a
Mhm.
go."
Yep, and
And
still a very good deck. Yeah.
and I cracked out Lexi, a hero I've no experience with. A hero I found a deck list online that I thought looked really cool, and I was like, I'm going to play this deck, and we sat down to play, and he hit me with like some 2 for 5 arcane thing. And I was looking at my hand, and I was like, well, if I do this, this, and this, and this on my turn, I can do all this damage. And I was like, yeah, but the problem is if he hits this and this and this, and he could
Yep.
potentially kill me. And then eventually I just kind of went, let's see what happens. And I just sat there with no block, no block, no block. And then on my turn I beat him.
Yeah.
Because I was fortunate enough that I literally like flipped over like a lightning card. It was like electrify. It was in my arsenal. Played it, so I drew a card, and it was like death dealer. Drew a card. Then it was like popped bullseye bracers. Dropped a card in and attacked. And it was like honing hood. Put another card in and attacked. And then it was like played a card, fused it, so I'd go again. And I was just like attack, 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 attack. And he
Yep.
just I was like never before and never again, but it was crazy. But yeah, sometimes it pays off, sometimes it definitely doesn't. I had a game where I decided to keep a pummel in my hand
Mhm.
because I thought uh, I next turn I can pummel, and my opponent had a pummel of their own, and I only had 4 health left.
Mhm.
So sometimes you just need to block.
Yeah, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, by any means. Uh, and that's also like why I wonder why, like, maybe what is it, the you know the new heroes, what's his name, the I always call it Professor because it's the one that's in
Tekla
the
awesome.
UPF buck. Yeah, Tekla. You almost wonder if like the equipment and his ability to kind of maybe get through that boost downside of like, okay, hey, look, I banished an Evo, at least I can like play it out of there and do something with it, maybe helps offset some of those problems. It's just going to be a kind of a waiting game for me, so I'm hoping that we get some players to play this season that are like mech mains or really enjoy mech, because that's kind of when I want to see breakout.
Yeah.
which makes me sad because actually, like Apollo, speaking of him, I know he said he's probably not going to be able to play this season due to
Oh, good.
like rugby and planning a wedding and all that kind of stuff. So, which I get, but I was like, gosh, I was like, you're the mech genius in my mind. So
Yeah, the
I was
Met
like, I wanted to
guy
see what you could
isn't
do.
going to
This
be
was
in
your
it.
set.
Oh, I'll have to. Yeah, that's. I was 'cause as soon as I thought, I was like, oh, Apollo's going to like just
Yeah.
be loving this, loving
Oh,
this.
yeah. I definitely want to sit down with him and get his take on a lot of the cards and what he thinks about the commoner scene in general. Just playing with him and seeing if he thinks it'll be enough to shake anything up with these new heroes. But only time will tell. Only time will tell on this.
Yeah. So, thoughts on the future? Because obviously we talked about like heroes peaking and heroes sort of turning up. Has Are there any thoughts in terms of trying to bring more balance to the force? Um, you know, we're seeing Chain like quite often. I always say if I see the team of Ira and Chain, I'm always like, oh yeah, just call it.
Yeah.
Um, is is there any thoughts on how that can be mitigated? Is it even actually a problem anymore?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, we saw a lot of that being played. It didn't have as high of a win rate this season as it did in prior. I think people are slowly starting to get an idea of how to play around it.
Mm,
Again, still very, very good decks, but not unbeatable.
mm.
Especially if like if you see a chain start to get to a point where you can just start full blocking out, preventing everything, and just letting us say we can't soul shackle anymore, can't do anything, maybe get some blood debt. That's great, but I'm always constantly thinking about what can we do to improve the scene for the players that are in it. Um, I think you're in the Patreon chat for the channel, and the
Yeah,
one day like I was just sleeping, and I woke up, I was like, is there a way we can make this like Duelist Island from Yu-Gi-Oh and things
yeah,
like that? Like I was like, is there a way we can get people to like challenge each other and knock each other out that way? Like so I'm always trying to think of like how can we make this interesting and fun and keep people on their toes. Uh, so as of now, I haven't seen it be a big problem. Certainly, it's something that I'm keeping an eye on. I've considered that if we start seeing decks perform exceedingly well, kind of banning them out for a season, saying, okay,
mm,
look, the Chain Ira deck combo won. So, as a community, who do we want to ban out? Like, and let people vote on it. Like, get rid of Chain, get rid of Ira.
okay.
So I've thought about that. That may be something that I implement next year, depending upon what happens, with this new set, and seeing how people feel about that. Certainly, if somebody absolutely loves Chan, I don't want to take that away from them. But
No.
if it does become a problem, we're as a community, we'll find a way to kind of deal with it, which is what I kind of like about what we run in that it's not normal commoner rules. Like we follow the format rules, the game rule,
Mm,
all that kind of stuff. But with it being best of three instead of best of one, and a deck knockout and all that kind of stuff, if the community says, "Hey, look, it's just not fun playing into IRA, it's just not fun playing into Chain, and it makes me not want to play next season because that's all I'm seeing is the same combo over and over and over," it's something that I'm willing to consider. Uh, and I always tell people in the community like it's not my league, it's our league. So
mm,
please, if you have a complaint, a problem, an issue, reach out to me. There's nothing that we can't change or take into consideration.
yeah.
Uh, so we'll have to see, but I'm open to the suggestion for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, I'll admit this time round, I didn't see as much Ira Chain tag teaming, or even Chain Dash or
Hmm.
Dash Ira. Always seemed to be one
Yeah.
variation of the three. Occasionally,
And,
you'd see a Bravo in
yeah,
there
and,
as
and that's
well.
kind of what I started to get the feeling of is like people wanted to play something new or wanted to play something fun. So like you would normally see everybody come in with like, or not everybody, but a lot of people come in with like one powerhouse deck and
Mm,
then one fun deck. Like, okay, if I lose with my fun deck, I still have a chance to win because I got a really, really strong deck.
yeah.
So you would maybe see things like, a prism chain, a prism ira, or something like that. But you wouldn't necessarily always see the chain ira combo. Certainly, some people did that. That's fine,
Yeah.
but it didn't seem as prevalent as before.
Uh, so that's cool actually, because one of the things I was worried about was the especially after sort of season five,
Yep.
five, that I was like, oh, is this what I'm going to be thingy moving forward? Because if it is, it's because I was having this conversation with someone about like evolving metas. Commoner can't really evolve because anytime new cards come out, anything that benefits those top three heroes will
Hmm.
benefit those top three heroes. There's no, even if there's a trickle down and other
Yeah.
heroes below them are getting powered up, it will still not be in comparison to the top three heroes because they'll still be slightly ahead at all times.
Yeah,
Um,
the thing that I was compared to is like when like, you almost need a hero that is broken based exclusively on commons to come out. So I was compared to like when Fi came out. You can make a
mm,
very strong Fi deck with rares and commons.
yeah,
So whenever Fi came out, we saw a lot of Fi and commoner because it wasn't hard to play. It was pretty straightforward, and there was a lot of the good cards that you still had access to.
mm,
Um,
it's true.
you know, I'm very curious now. I mean, I want to sit there and say, is there a fatigue fi option that could potentially exist in the world of commoner, where essentially what you're trying to do is just like Kadachi Kadachi and then give them a big attack, like a 4 or something like that. Play a
Oh
very,
yeah,
very blue heavy focused Fi, and just try to chip away damage. And then the question I always go to in my mind is like, okay, well, if I do that, would I rather just do Katsu? Or, again, would I rather
yeah,
just do Ira? Where Ira feels like it may be the better choice. But I think there's some possibilities there. I wish, with them not putting as much focus in commoners as they do other formats, I wish they would give us Ball Lightning back.
yeah,
I like that was my favorite deck to play was Lightning Lexi, so I'd like to see something like that so we can play more cards with her. But I'm really excited for Riptide. In fact, I want somebody to send me a good Riptide deck so I could like just play it in locals and things like that. Because Riptide is probably one of my favorite heroes.
yeah,
I don't play him particularly well. Somebody in the Commoner League, his name's Graham. He actually did the Snapdragon's altar for the prize that we did last season. He plays a ton of Riptide and he plays it very, very well. So I'd be curious to sit there and see, maybe if he has any input or anything like that, because Riptide he's a lot of fun to play. He's a
yeah.
very, very fun hero. I enjoy him quite a bit.
He's very handicapped in common though, isn't he? Because a lot of his traps, a lot of the original traps were all rares, aren't they?
Hmm.
And then his signature ones aren't. The
Yeah,
Majestics. I think they are.
yeah. His signet, like the legend, you're talking about the legendary ones.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're not legendary. They're majestic. Like we're talking like the what
they're
buzzsaw blade,
legendary, aren't they? They can only be
they have
played one of.
the collapsing trap and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, they're definitely harder for him to access and take advantage of. But I mean, you still got things like the frailty trap. You still got like basically all the outsider ones.
yeah,
So you still have those possibilities. And with Commoner being a little more of an aggro format, you could generally assume you're going to get one or two of them off.
yeah,
Especially now with the ability that we can kind of sideboard out. I think Riptide's even in a better spot because before, you were pretty much stuck with just Frailty Trap if you wanted to run, if you wanted to put it in your deck.
yeah.
Um, I compare it to my Dory list that I play for Blitz. Um, Before, like, so my Blitz deck for Dory, oh, excuse me, it
That's right.
has what's it called? It has Jubil in it. And so like I loved it. I used to play it all the time. But the one thing that I kind of hated was whenever we were whenever I'd be playing up against somebody that was a wizard, like let's say I was going into the a Kano matchup or something like that, I I hated running the deck because my glistening steel blade only affects Dawnblade. And so it just
Yeah.
basically became a bobble that blocks for three. And when Kano's not swinging, it's a bobble. You know what I mean? Uh, and so with the blitz changes and now being able to sideboard and things like that, I can swap that out for something else. Even though it's an amazing card in literally every other situation. I think Riptide's going to benefit very similarly in Commoner in that you're not just stuck with dead traps in your deck. You could do something like saying, hey, they have no go again. Maybe I run an unmovable, or maybe I run, whatever the case may be. Well, unmovable. Is that
Yeah.
common? Yeah, but like trying to sit there and say, okay, I have other defensive options, or I can be a more aggro kind of deck if I strip these two traps out, because I know they're never gonna ping.
Never gonna
So
run.
yeah, I think he'll be in a better spot than even he was.
Yeah, because Bravo's not throwing much go again, especially in Commoner.
Yeah, yeah. I
Um,
mean, yeah, Bravo is
so
just
why have the
basically,
go
I
again
want, I
one?
want to hit big hit, big hit, big hit.
Yeah, yeah. So he's not running the go again trap is pretty pretty useless. Um, this what's the Bloodpox one? Is that reactions? I think that's attack reactions, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So, oh gosh, I forget
Between
the name.
pummel
I know
and
which one you're talking
razor
about here.
reflex.
Yeah, he has, and he has something. I just can't remember if that one was a not Boulder, not Frailty, Greater Base. No, I think the one you're talking about may be
Is
no,
it
a
Bloodpot?
reaction. It's Blood Rot, Blood Rot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See, I, I played one of the games I played Azalea, and I just went all in on the bloodpox um,
yeah,
stuff. I was like, I
yeah,
am determined to throw a massive arrow and then infect them,
yeah,
and it went really well.
yeah.
Only once didn't go well in
It,
the second game I
it,
played it, but it went
it,
really well in the first game I
that's
played
all
it.
it takes sometimes, though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Az's fault. I'm blaming Az. That I even contemplated thinking about Ranger. We were talking ages ago, and I was sat at home and I was like, oh, I really want to build a new deck, and I was like, 1 minute an hour about who I wanted to build, and I was like, I wonder if I could put together like just a because I only have Warrior and Blitz, like
Sure,
Warrior. I only have for Blitz. Light Warrior obviously is different, but Warrior I only have in Blitz.
sure, sure.
Um, because I can't bother to spend the money to get a third copy of everything. And the I thought to myself, oh, I could do something like that with maybe Azalea, and I could build Azalea in Blitz and just have a Blitz set of Azalea. I was like, don't be talking stupid. I was
Yep,
like, I was like, stop it right now. You've got all these heroes here. You've got assassins. You've got at the time, obviously, mechnologists. I was like, you've got brute, shadow brute. You've got 4 different types of rune blade. It's like, come on, don't don't be talking daft. So
yep.
I ended up building Arachne Solitary Confinement instead, which was way more happier with. I didn't have to spend any extra money because I already had the
Yeah.
cards. So I was like,
Uh, no, the one hero I definitely want to see more, get more stuff is like just the assassin class in general. Not because of his
mm,
Zuri, but I like just that old original Arachne. I love the concept
yeah,
of how he plays and everything like that. It's just he's missing so many tools to get the job done.
yeah,
But yeah, I love that Arachne. I mean, if I can get like my ideal, if I could play 3 heroes and just be done with it, it would be Dory, Riptide, Arachne. Which is sad
nice.
because Riptide and Arachne are kind of bottom of the barrel right now, and Dory's kind of like, you
Yeah,
know, A minus B tier, depending upon who you're going into and what's going on.
yeah. That axe build was phenomenal. But yeah, I don't even know what it was. I built Arachne in
Hmm.
Blitz, and then for a guy I know he's we played Commoner, and he's like, I love this game. Like the next day, he was like messaging saying, "Hey, I've seen this card. Do you think it's worth buying?" Figging Tunic. I was like, "No, no, no." It's like you've played 1 game. Well, you've played like 3 games with me. Don't be don't be forking out 150 quid for a
Yeah,
tunic, you fool.
yeah.
Um,
And make sure you like the game first. Like really,
yeah,
really get into the game.
yeah, yeah. So I built a rack knee for him, and then we were talking. He's like, "I really like aggro," and I was like, "Well, Arachne's not really aggro." And I was like talking to my mate Martin. He was like, "Oh, I've got Arachne solitary confinement." I thought that's the one. So I built Arachne solitary confinement. And I was just like, "You
Yeah.
don't block, you just attack,
Yep.
and
Yep. Just
you may
just
win."
dagger attack attack, and you're feeling pretty good.
That's it. It's it. Dag, if you've got zero costs, it's like you do not need to worry about paying for anything. If you've got a card that pitches, you just hit the knife.
Hmm.
You, yeah, just roll with it. So I've built that for him. So hopefully the next time I go in Armory, he's going to be coming with, and that's who he'll be playing.
Awesome.
Um, I'm looking forward to getting the assassin cards for the new set though, because I like Azuri.
Yeah.
Azuri's the reason I bought assassin in the first place.
Yeah.
Um,
Azuri's fun. Azuri's fun. I mean, she's strong. I think she is in a good spot right now. And the thing with Azuri that's nice is basically anytime they make a good generic two cost, attack or more, Azuri just gets better. Like you
yeah,
get more options. So Azuri has room to grow, but they definitely got to be careful with the cards that they're putting out, especially if it's like generic type, because it's things that she'll be able to capitalize on. So
yeah,
last thing you want to do is have Azuri just run like only isolates and basically big attacks or big swings.
yeah.
You don't want to make her too powerful too fast. So uh, you got to be careful. But I'm really excited for the possibilities with Azuri.
Yeah, because 2-6 is pretty much like the standard, isn't it? So it's like, how do we now change the standard to make it either not as good
Yeah. Well,
or
that's the thing. I mean, it just has to be what is it, two cost or less, or
yeah,
something like that. So I mean, it's just she can swap in a lot of stuff, and
yeah,
I mean, unless you're really changing the cost up or changing how the ability works or throwing tons of bands around, any good generic card Missouri just benefits from.
kind of feels like maybe they missed that when they were testing. Like they were
Yeah.
playing it like, oh, she'll play the contracts, like the 1-5 contracts, and people when they I was having this conversation actually about what game was it, Locana,
Mm,
and I have a Locana deck. I have Ruby Amethyst.
sure.
And the reason I have Ruby Amethyst is because it's the only way I can play Scar, Jafar, and Gaston in one deck. It's
Yep.
the only color combination that allows it. And I'd said from day dot before the game was even released, they're like in like shops. I was like, it's the only deck I'm interested in playing because it's the only way I can play these characters in one deck. And then it just turned out that that deck actually was like really good.
Hmm.
Um, and it's seen a lot of like prominence in sort of early events. But we were having this conversation about it's a best of three. You have 50 minutes, and the Ruby Amethyst deck is very very slow and results in a lot of draws because it's that slow. It's like playing Oldhim. It's slow, and I said like you'd think that they wouldn't want that type of deck in that game because of who they're trying to aim it for. And my friend was like, well, they don't know. They've played completely missed that, or they've been playing it in the spirit of which the card was intended, not the sickening strategies that these the people come up with when it's in their hands.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I have a little bit of Lorcana in that as well. And you got all the starters, and then what's nice is we have a ton of people around town that are just like, whenever there's a restock, if somebody sees it, they're like, okay, look, there's troves out. And we're like, okay, buy it all, and then we just sell to each other for market price. Like we're not trying to scalp or anything like that, but we're like, we'd rather we get it and know that we can get it for market than a scalper get it and then sell it for
Yeah,
like $300 or something. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So we're like, at least this way, because we know we're getting it to open and play.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got all three starters in a trove. And I also like you. I like and I always call it red green, but whatever the official titles
Is
are.
it
But
Ruby? Is it, I
yeah,
think? Yeah.
Ruby and Ruby Emerald.
Ruby
Is that
Emerald.
what it
That's
is?
the one.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the
But
color I was thinking of. Emerald.
I'm just stuck in my magic ways of like red, green. I'll
Yeah.
say steel, blue, and then I say purple and yellow. Like like I
Yeah.
know those aren't the official names, but you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean I always give a little bit of leeway the first couple sets of anything like this because again the game developers and testers, I'm sure they do their best, but you can never fully anticipate ways that people are going to break a game or find an interaction that you missed. And so I'm hoping that they continue to like grow over time and put a lot of work and effort into kind of finding balance or not being afraid to ban cards or suspend cards or whatever the case may
Mm.
be. Like I don't even know if they've announced anything yet of like, hey, here's going to be the rotation every year or whatever. Uh, like I'm
No, actually, I don't
hopefully they
think
have.
they have. I don't
Yeah,
think they
so I
have
mean,
at all.
I'm hoping that gets announced soon to sit there and say, okay, look, it's going to be last 4 sets or last 5 sets or 3 sets or whatever it may be, to help curb that, so we can get some of these learning pain cards out of there. But you know, it's a fun game. I don't think it's one I'm going to dive too deep into. Like I'm definitely going to play it casually. Like there's one game store near here that has Flesh and Blood at 1 o'clock on Sundays and then Lorcana at 4. So it's like, oh, they're just back to back. I'll
Get
go to Flesh and
involved.
Blood, stay for Lorcana, and just play for fun because my friends are there. But it's one of those things that I'm like, the play style for me isn't. It doesn't quite click. I mean, the lack of interaction between the game
Yes.
kind of feels bad. Like there's a lot of strategy and a lot of decisions you have to make between deck building and then sitting there saying, okay, this is my hand. If I ink this, I'm never going to see it. So does it make sense to maybe hold it and then ink something else, or try to build the certain late game strategies, or trying to get a board presence early? But to me, it's like it almost feels like I'm playing solitaire and you're playing solitaire. Whoever plays it better wins. Like
Yes.
and that's the same kind of issue I have with Pokemon as well, where I
I was
can't
literally
get deep.
thinking Pokemon.
Yeah, I can't
Literally
get deep
thinking
into
Pokemon.
Pokemon because it's like I feel like I can't do anything other than, okay, you've played this, now I'm just going to react to it and you got to watch me do it. Like Magic, even though I didn't play a ton of blue or anything like that in counter spells, it's always like, okay, I had something at instant speed like to do. So I think it would be neat if there was more characters in Lorcana that were like, hey, you can what I say tap, but it's called like exhaust or something, but you can tap this on your opponent's turn to prevent something, or you can tap this on your opponent's turn. Like I'd like more cards like that, but I understand why they
Yeah.
don't. They try to keep it a little more simple, especially for like people's first TCG. Uh, but it brings it more into the casual frame for me,
Yeah.
and not something like I really want to sink my teeth into competitively. But it's great. Like I'm trying to get my wife to learn to play it, trying to work with my daughter who's just learning how to read. Like, okay, like let's start talking strategy. We can use this as an insight into it. So like for that, I love the game. I'm excited about the
Yeah.
game. But it's not something like where I see myself traveling to different states to play it.
No, I know a couple of lads who've gotten like into it. Like they're looking at deck lists. They're watching Twitch streams of tournaments.
Mhm.
Um, Me, I'm there. I'm like, I have a deck that I've built
Yep.
with characters that I like. Bought a lot of other cards that are like, oh, I can maybe swap in and out, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
generally, the cards I want to be in there will always be in there. Um, but yeah, I don't see myself um, doing much in terms of traveling for that because it's
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's
interactions
one.
good.
It's one of those things that like I'm hoping the game does well,
Mm,
but I'm also hoping that like they the scalpers don't kind of ruin it for people where they go, okay, like I'm not even gonna try this game again too because it's so hard to get product. Like I don't know how it is where you're at, but
Yeah.
here it's like impossible. Like unless you have people literally combing the stores all day every day to try to get stuff for your play group, it's almost impossible to find on the shelves anywhere. You know, and when you do find it, like a lot of LGSs, not all of them, but some of them are selling them at such a markup that it
Oof.
doesn't make sense. Like there's one around here that basically went to another convention, saw that they were selling it. They bought the booster packs for like $10 each, and they brought it
Wow.
back to their LGS and then sold them for $20 each. And I'm like, I was like, you're just doing what scalpers do, but doing it in your store. Like,
Yes, no, it
you know,
is.
which kind of feels shitty. Like, I'm okay paying $10 for a booster, especially like high demand, new game, things like that. But you know, when you're trying to convince me $20 for one booster, which you know most of the cards aren't worth anywhere near that,
No.
you know, it doesn't make sense. I don't have that big of FOMO.
Yeah, there has been thingy. So I took my eldest lad Caleb. We were just I wanted to go into Waterstones, which is like a local, which is like a book retailer in the UK. Um, and I because they'd sell like games and stuff and the odd trading card bit, and I wanted to see
Okay.
if they got the new Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed Duel set.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and we went in there and I saw that they got and it was an empty box, empty booster
Mm,
box of Lorcana, and it just had a little sticky note in it that said, "Please ask at the till." So we went up to the till, and I was like, "Have you got any in?" And they were like, you know, they peered over the display in the window, and were like, "Yeah, we've got a few packs, limited to 8." I was like, "8? Don't want 8, want one for
yeah.
my little lad."
Yeah.
It's like because I've been getting like when I've been buying the cards, I've been getting like the odd random one that I know he'd like.
Sure.
So I've been like siphoning them off and giving them to him like Scar, Simba,
Yeah.
characters that he knows and likes, and he loves them, absolutely loves
Yeah.
them. Like he runs around holding them and stuff, and
Yeah, well, that's how I did with my kids. Is basically like I said, my buddy got me the trove. I waited, I brought it home. My daughter woke up more. And I said, "Okay, look, you want to help me crack his packs open?" Cracked him open. Anything that was like legendary, or like that I recognized as maybe holding value, I put
mm,
aside, and then I just gave the rest. I was like, pick whichever of these you like whichever you want. Like the trove came with like two little deck boxes. I had one for my son, one for my daughter, and I
nice.
was like, just pick it. And they were like, oh, okay, this one looks nice. This one looks cool. And I was like, take it, put it in your deck box. I was like start collecting, put it away somewhere safe, do whatever you need to do. And that was kind of cool. Like that was fun to me. And I'm like, are some of the uncommons maybe worth a little bit of money? Sure, but to me, it's I plan on keeping them. I want to play with them anyway. I don't want to just flip the whole thing. You
Yeah,
know, uh, for a quick profit.
yeah, that's it. Um, Randomly, are you looking at the new Star Wars trading card game, the Unlimited?
From a distance, I've seen it. I know we have a lot of people that are interested in it. So I have not looked that much into like the rules or anything like that. I do know it's coming out. Uh, I'm curious to see how it goes, especially with another Disney kind of trading card game just released.
Yeah.
Um, I'm hoping it does well. I'm hoping it takes off because if so, I'm a Star Wars fan, I'm not a Star Wars fanatic.
Mm.
And that, I can name every side character in their entire family history, through it. But I do enjoy all the movies. I enjoy the Disney Plus shows. Although I haven't watched the most recent one.
I haven't
I forget.
actually.
Yeah, but like I heard good things, but I'm like, it's one of those things that it's like I want to play it. I like the mythos. I like the lore of it, everything like that. So I'm hoping it's good, and I'm hoping I can, get into it, and it's not just another quick Disney cash grab.
Yeah, this is something I was when they announced it, I was like, "Oh, don't do this to me." Luckily, they are doing a two-player starter set, and
Hmm.
I love a two-player starter set.
Yeah,
So I am probably going
and
to end up picking one up, and that'll
yeah,
be
anything like that, I
yeah.
think is just it is smart for people to do. I mean, heck, I just got back there in my thing, but I just got the professor's UPF kind of box.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. The
you
round
know,
round table.
yeah, they were on the table, and that's awesome. And it's a lot of fun, and like so, like I love things like that where it's like, hey, it's a 2 player, it's like a self-contained or a 3 player. Like this is like the board game version of the game. You know what I mean? Where
Mm,
I could just pull that out with my wife and my 2 brother-in-laws and just be like, hey, you want to play, like, and just treat it like a board game. Like I think that's genius, and I love whenever trading card games kind of do that kind of stuff. Not just say,
mm,
hey, here's a starter deck, but buy 2 of them. Like bundle it up. Like
yeah.
I think Pokemon just came out with something like that, where it's like, this is my first battle
My
box or
first
something like
battles.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and so I'm like, that's smart. Like it's ways that you can say, look, you buy it, you and somebody else sit across from each other, not like, hey, I just bought this starter deck. Do you have one? No, okay, well, go get one, and then you like, it's just this is a thing. It's self-contained. They're good for each other.
yeah.
Introduces you to the game, and then you go from there.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Have just released a similar one, a two-player starter deck, which is sort of designed to be, I think, literally on par with, um, the Pokemon one. It's supposed to be two bare bones basic decks that allow you to get an understanding of how to play, as opposed to um, like structure decks in Yu-Gi-Oh, which are generally a bit more powered up. Um, they also do the battle boxes for speed duels, where you get 8 pre-made or pre-listed decks in the box, and that is like, for me, I've bought all the GX ones, sleeved them, and I have them in a massive box, like together, and then I have the latest one, the Streets of Battle City, which I've also sleeved and put into a box to keep to play them off, because I think that is exactly what you need to get people in a just totally, hey, I've got this box. Speed duels, a 5 minute game. Pick a character from the series that you like the look of. Let's play it off. I think they're wonderful ideas.
Yeah, smart ideas. Can't blame any company for doing that.
Yeah,
I hope more companies do it.
my thoughts on the Flesh and Blood one are a bit. Mm, I'm a little bit more cynical,
So
um,
it's
mainly over the
so
price
as
point.
somebody that's done the classic battles, I bought 3 copies of classic battles primarily for the Dory Guard.
Yeah.
Um, so as somebody bought that, and then somebody bought the UPF thing, the around the table. The around the table one is very very good.
Mm,
Um, the mat is wonderful that it comes with. Um, the decks all play unique and well balanced into each other. Like we can see everybody has a role. Like
mm,
there's definitely 2 of the more support classes in the Guardian and the Bard that like are basically trying to build up to do something specific.
mm.
And then you got like the mech and you got Iron Ninja where you're just going, okay, these are the more aggressors.
Yeah.
So like when we bought it on Sunday before the pre-release, we actually had 6 of us sit down. We all picked our decks randomly. So it's funny that we had 2 ninjas, 2 guardians, 2 bards, and no mech. But it was a lot of fun. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I did what is it, Final Act or whatever was Melody's 1 card, and I think I came in for something like 18 damage on somebody.
Oof.
The Arler Bard came in for 24 damage on somebody.
Jesus.
I mean, it was really really cool to see that where it's like, okay, look, not a threat, not a threat, and then people look and you're like, okay, they got 7 copper. If they start pitching cards to pay for the copper, their pitch on is going to get massive, and then you get double that on final act added to the damage on the thing, and it was a lot of fun. It was really cool to pull off.
Jesus. Yeah. I'm umming and ahhing whether or not I'm going to bother with it. I, I, I don't want. I have my own thoughts and feelings, and I could probably go on for like an hour just about it. But I, I have a problem with the price point. I have a problem with some of the cards that are in the decks. I have a problem with the fact that they chose Ira as the fourth hero, which felt really late. Feels really lazy to me. Um, and then I don't know. Like when you start seeing people on X being like, "Oh, I want this card. I'm going to buy the box for it." I'm like, so it's classic battles, isn't it? It's just another. It's just classic battles, but more expensive.
So I mean, it kind of feels like at times. Like I do agree. I wish that Ira wasn't a hero, and that they would have done something another unique kind of hero or something different. Heck, even put in and I know why they didn't. They didn't want two mechs, but so even put in like one of the new Bright Lights heroes. But it 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 doesn't feel as bad as classic battles. Like classic battles, the Dory deck felt significantly better than the Rhinar. Like it felt like
Mm,
they almost built two decks and then just said, thematically, this is cool. Let's put them together.
yeah,
Where this one, they really felt like, okay, these are meant to work together. Like I could take a bolt like the Bolton Blitz Precon and put it in here, but it wouldn't feel like it fits as well. Like this
yeah,
definitely feels like it's more of a contained product and fit than say the other one did.
yeah. I might check it out at some point. Maybe when the
Yeah, I
shop's
definitely would
open.
say play it. Like I get why a lot of people don't want to buy it. Like I was on the fence of buying it too. But I definitely say if you're at a store and somebody has one, definitely play it. Like it feels good. Even if it gets to the point where later, like I know my one buddy, he's like, hey, look, I want to buy another mat. That if somebody buys it for a second mat and is like, hey, I'm selling these decks, I don't need two of them. Even just buying the decks, I think may not be bad. I think those decks alone will just
Yeah,
come down eventually.
yeah. I'm going to ask, is that a McFlurry I've got there?
Oh, it's a. Do you guys have Ritas in the UK?
No.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's Italian ice. You ever come to America and you come to like my neck of the woods, I will buy you Rita's Italian ice in the spring or summer, and it's fantastic.
Oh,
Sorry, I don't mean to
that's
eat in front of you.
That's a pretty cool cup that it's in, by the way.
It's
No one will
fun.
see it. I can see it. That's all that matters.
As I
People
was like,
listening.
okay, your audio. People won't feel bad if I'm eating and muting myself.
No, no. Hey, go for it. Go for it. Nine
Oh,
times out of 10, I've got water here now, but usually 9 times out of 10, I'm sat with some kind of beer or like I've got this peanut butter, chocolate Irish cream that I keep smashing my way through.
I
It's amazing.
love
Um,
peanut butter so much. Like
I,
you give me anything chocolate and peanut butter, I'm happy.
it's from Aldi. I don't know if you guys have Aldi.
I don't think I've ever heard of
It,
LV, ALVI or
ALDI.
oh Aldi. Oh, you
Yeah,
call it Aldi? Yeah,
Aldi.
Aldi.
Yeah.
Yes, we have Aldi's.
It's they're like it's like a budget supermarket.
Hmm,
it's not
hmm.
like it's like Europe, and it came over here along with Lidl, and they they just sell everything dirt cheap
Yep,
because it's all like
yep. Yeah,
knockoff own brand type stuff.
I mean, we've always had a couple of them, but over the past 3 4 years, like they're popping up like everywhere now here.
Mm,
Like before, like when I was growing up, at least I'd never heard of them, and then there was the first Aldi maybe 10 years ago that opened near me,
yeah,
and now there's like 4 or 5 within a 5 minute, 10 minute drive from me.
we have we have two in Crewe,
Hmm.
but we're only a town. We've got two of
Okay.
them. Um, I mean, they are, yeah. But anyway, I was in there one day. I was walking past, and I just saw this bright orange, yellow bottle, which of course is designed to look like the Reese's wrapper. And I was like, "Oh,
Hmm.
what's this?" Picked it up, peanut butter chocolate Irish cream. I was like, "Yeah, you had me at hello." Do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, "Yeah." So,
Can't complain with that.
yeah. Yeah. Going back to it, like, yeah, I have all sorts generally lying around that I'm drinking or eating, so it's definitely not a big deal. Um, yes, we'll curve it back in. Next Common League is coming up. When
Yes.
does all that kick off?
So signups just went live just the other day. The season starts October 29th. It will be the last one for 2023. I mean, by the time it's over, we're talking we're getting into, Christmas, New Year's holidays, things like that. So,
Yeah,
I'm not going to try to rush another one in like over the new year. But it does start October 29th. Like I said, all the Bright Light heroes, I wanted to give people time to like really tune decks, play with the heroes, get, who they're comfortable with. before we go live. So I figured 2.5, 3 weeks should be probably pretty good for that. But yeah, October 29th, it officially kicks off. It should be a pretty good time. I'm excited for it. I'm really looking forward to kind of, as we talked about earlier, seeing how, the new set shakes things up a little bit.
Excellent. Any plans for the future personally, Flesh and Blood wise? Is there anything coming up there that you're like, I'm hitting this?
So,
Not going to
so
Worlds,
we,
are you?
yeah, I wish I was going to Worlds. I'm not that good, Tom. But no, yeah, there's a couple big events. There's a Pittsburgh Battle Hardened, which is my neck of the woods. I actually applied to be a judge for it. I didn't get selected, sadly.
Oh,
Uh, we actually got said like all of our locals, none of them got it, and we're like, how don't you pick a single Pittsburgh person to judge your event?
that's good.
Uh, but and I'm only a level one judge. Like even our level twos didn't get selected. Um,
Jeez.
which was bizarre. But so yeah, I got Pittsburgh SCG Con coming up in November. December is the Realms Games RTI in Columbus, Ohio. I'll be at
Mhm.
that as well. So those are the two big ones. Not obviously ProQuest and things like that
Nice.
going on this month. Doing that, doing that as well. But
Yeah.
those are the two big ones.
Nice. Uh,
You know.
I'm unfortunately not going to be able to hit anything in ProQuest season. The closest ProQuest to me is a draft.
Mm.
I was like, in a set I have absolutely no interest in.
Yeah, we
I'm
we
not
and
doing it.
and we have a big scene in lots of stores here.
Yeah.
There's only one, like Green Tree got one near us, um, that is pretty good, and I think only one other store got a ProQuest, and one's drafting one CC. But yeah, I was pretty shocked by that. I'm like, man, I was like, we thought there'd be a couple more within like easy driving distance, like an hour or so, but it does not appear that way.
That seems
So,
to be an issue over here as well at the moment. So the Midlands area of the UK, well, England specifically,
mm,
has like I think it's like maybe one, two in the whole area. And there's a
mm.
lot of people getting a bit riled up about the
Well,
fact
what
that
also makes
they couldn't get to
what
them.
also makes us feel bad is we have people the same week of the pro quests are going on locally. It happens to be the same week of the Dallas Battle Hardened or something down there. So we have people that already bought flights, hotels, all that kind of stuff, paid for that event, that a big event,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, "Here's pro quest season," and they can't participate in it.
Uh,
And it's one of those things. It's like down there. It's like it would be nice if a store, and maybe one is like I'm like look around the stores there and see if maybe anybody's having one like that Friday or something
yeah.
beforehand that you can get in. But a lot of them, because it's going on, the Battle Hardened, they're like the week before, the week after. So it's like a lot of our local players that are traveling like across country to do this big event, like the better players than me,
Mm.
they missed the ProQuest. So that kind of that feels bad. Like I wish LSS did a little bit better on planning on that kind of part. Like give ProQuest season like a little bit longer time frame so people can like make those plans instead of trying to squeeze everything into like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. Scheduling with these things. I know there was talk originally about them trying to almost pull back a little bit on the intense schedule
Mm-hmm.
tournament wise,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes it feels like they're actually ramping it up.
This year specifically felt like there was a lot of events, like especially early in the year.
Mm,
I mean, like I feel like every other week I was doing something, and it's starting to get that way again now in the later half of the year, where it's like, okay, I had teams sealed, I had pre-release. Now it's like a week off, and then we got ProQuest, and then it's like another week off, and then it's Pittsburgh Battle Hard, and then it's like another week off, and then it's like consistent.
yeah,
That it does get difficult to find time to do everything if you want to do it.
yeah, because I was it Battle Hardened beginning of the year. It's like a Battle Hardened in Leeds at the beginning of the year. Then I went down to the Calling in Birmingham July, and
Mm-hmm.
then um, went to the Nationals at Leeds. Wasn't in the Nationals, but we played the PTI event the next day.
Okay.
Um, that was its own nightmare. And I don't know if you know, I ended up playing a UPF deck
Yeah.
because I'd lost cards,
Oh no.
and in my I'd lost two cards from my chain deck, which is what I was going to play. Um, my standby deck, Vincent, because I decided to play chain, I'd ended up trading one of my cards from my Vincent deck into a stall towards a Bravo Star of the Show Coalfoil Marvel.
Uh,
And so I couldn't play Vincent because I didn't have the full deck anymore.
yeah.
And so I ended up playing with a KO UPF deck. I still went 1-3.
we
I managed to win a game.
we had somebody that played KO in a Blitz Battle Hardened or something like that. I think they won like 3 games or something like that. I think they
Yeah,
went like 3 and 3 or 3 and 4 or
yeah,
something like that. And we were cracking up. We're like, how do you like? He's like, I just high rolled. Like, you just
yeah.
get lucky as KO sometimes. He's like, I was on a streak.
The one game I won was because I rolled nothing but fives the
Yeah.
whole game. In fact, the
Uh,
one time I didn't roll a five, I popped gambler's gloves and rolled a five.
nice.
I literally just straight fives the whole game. Like I was
That's
just like,
awesome. That's so much fun.
I had a massive turn where I hit like a pull pin, so I'd go again, and then I had another attack after it, and it was just like, here's a 12, here's a 12, here's a 12. My
Hmm,
opponent was
hmm.
Prism, and they just
Yeah.
died.
Yep. I always laugh. People are like, KO, like when you play KO in Flesh and Blood, only one person in that match is having fun. It's either the person that's consistently rolling the 5 and 6s, or it's the person watching you roll ones, two, threes, and fours just
Yeah,
nonstop, and like you're just getting miserable and everything cut in half.
yeah,
But it's one of my favorite Blood decks to play. Like I do have a KO deck that I play occasionally, and it's a lot of fun.
yeah. I mean, the stupid thing is, it wasn't even like a blitz deck. It was for UPF, so it had
Mm-hmm.
got in Cokes of Commotions. It had got in
Mm-hmm.
This Round's on Me's. It had got. I had to take them out because I don't think they're legal. But No Good Deeds.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Gorganian Tome. It was a it was a UPF deck,
Yeah,
with a KO face card, and
yeah,
it blew chunks. Um, uh, I think it was like maybe round three was like Bravo. Maybe round three, was it round two? I think it might be round two Bravo, and
yeah.
it was the closest it came to winning, where I rolled the dice and it just did not work. Even he was like, "If you rolled a 5 or 6, you'd have won then, but you rolled a 3, so you didn't." And it
Uh,
was like, it's heartbreaking. But
that's tough.
yeah, so that was its own nightmare. But yeah, so then that was in Leeds. Yeah, it feels like it's just kind of been like, I know that's 3 events in the course of a year, but for me, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's
And then
that's
hit,
enough.
yeah, and then hitting the armories, starting to go back to armories again, um, yeah, and hopefully soon to be running my own. So, you know,
Yeah, I was like, I can't wait to keep hearing more about that. You got to keep up to date with it.
oh mate, I'm pretty much done. I've the money is on its way to my account. I have the
Uh,
unit. I am just waiting now for a day I can move into the unit because it's needed a load of work done to it. Because
I already told you, man. When you get in and get set up and all that kind of stuff, you got to let me know because I'm placing your first international order. So
I'll have to set up a website just to sell something to you, and then I can shut it down again. Um, but yeah,
I don't care if I have to just PayPal you the cash or something like that. And be like, okay, like could you tell me how much this is, and just calculate shipping and send it to me.
send it to you. Yeah, you know what, I'm super excited about it actually. Yeah, I'm super excited about it. Already sort of got like a fair bit of local support. Yeah, I'm super excited. It doesn't convey how excited I am saying
But
I'm super excited.
my wife always yells at me. I always tell her, I'm like, yes, like I'd love to have like a game store slash kind of like not a coffee house, but like a kind of like a small eats kind of thing, like beer and
Mm,
just like little kind of like fingery foods that are like safety weight board game. And she's like, "You should just do it." And I'm like, "I just don't have the time." I was like, "I don't have the time to do like go out and do the loans, set it all up, and like, and then have to work the jobs that we work because like we're traveling all the time or working late and things like that." And
Yeah,
I was like, it would eat all of our evenings, all of our weekends, and things like that. And I was like, it's not fair for you to be like, or for me to tell you, hey, give up your weekends in life because that's what we have to do based on our jobs, or like have the kids there. I was like, one day whenever the kids are maybe older or something like that, I was like, that's fine. But I was like, I always feel like it's something you got to do either when they're really really young or older. And I was like, and we're
yeah,
kind of in that window now where it's tough to get started. So maybe one day, we'll have to see.
yeah. It's going to be a big, it's going to be a big change here. It's going
Yeah,
to be
it's
a
a
big,
lot.
um, it's going to be yeah, it's going to be hard on everyone. But I think for me, it's either doing it now or it's probably never going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, so it's time to do it now. Also, the fact I at one point I liked my job, I no longer like it. So the sooner I can get to a position where I don't need to do it full time and I can go to a part time job stacking shelves for 20 hours a week, I am down with
I,
that.
I get it.
And
I
make
get it.
make money that way. Um,
Well,
cool. So um 29th, when will entries close? When are you shutting off registration?
so they close the Thursday before, so we're looking at the 26th. That gives me basically 2 days to like chase people down of saying like, hey, you signed up, but you were missing something. Can you fix this? Or hey, nobody's heard from you. Do I need to drop you? Like all this kind of stuff. So yeah, so the 26th is the last sign up day. 27th, 28th are like my in-house days of prepping everything and getting it ready and cleaned up. And then 29th we kick off.
Fantastic. Where can people get in touch with you to get into the Discord and sign up, etc.?
Yeah, so the best place is if you go to the go follow me on Twitter. It's at SMITHEL Gaming on Twitter. There's generally information like I'll post regularly throughout October, the Discord link, all that kind of good information. Once you get in the Discord, you should be able to start finding stuff relatively easy. If not, the community that we've built are kind of very great. Generally, you ask the question, and there's like two or three people, like yourself included, Tom, that will just
Yeah,
chime in and be like, "Oh no, here it is." Like,
yeah,
so I always laugh that like I have unofficial mods kind of in my mind, like yourself, Capolo. We have a local Addison who's very on top of directing people to where they need to go or answering questions.
yeah.
So I was kind of laugh at that. So if you can find your way to me on Twitter and then find the Discord, it should be relatively smooth sailing from there. And I'm always available to message, and I try to get back to everybody very very quickly to make sure that they're happy and set up and ready to go.
Awesome, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on again, dude. I always have a great time with you on, um, and I can't wait to see who I cast to play the younger you in the next episode. The Phantom Smithel. I'll have to find a
Well,
really small child. Just bring them on, and in a non weird way, and get them to talk
uh,
about flesh and blood. Um, uh, thank you everyone at home for listening. I really appreciate it. You can catch this podcast wherever podcasts are put out. You can now also catch this podcast on YouTube, and it will be out the day after you're hearing it on your podcast platform of choice. You can follow us on Instagram, Big Boss Book Club, X, Big Boss 010, and of course, Facebook, Big Boss Book Club. Again, like, subscribe, leave a comment, review. Um, you will receive some exclusive content put through your window, wrapped in porn, so no one will know the disgusting content that you're actually listening to. Um, this has been Smithel Gaming. I'm Big Boss. We are out. Peace.